Hello everyone. Today we have with us Priyansh Tiwari, who is the city topper from Varanasi, and he is well going into NUJS Kolkata. So welcome Priyansh. How are you?
So thank you, sir. Very well, sir.
So how is your feeling becoming the city topper of Varanasi and the entire district as well?
So definitely, I mean, the feeling is very, very, very great. I mean, I was preparing for almost 9 months now, and there were a lot of postponements. I mean, 2, 3 months, but finally it did happen on 23 July, and I was very happy that finally it ended, and it ended well for me. I guess so it is. I think it's a very pleasant experience for the whole preparation for 9 months with CL, and also the result as well finally. So it was
So
very
have
good.
you ever thought, Priyansh, that you'll be able to get rank 222 and will be heading to NUJS Kolkata?
Sir, this was a drop year for me, so it was kind of a do or die situation for me. So, and also the nature of CLAT is very unpredictable because one year they will give the GK from the last 4 months, and the next year they'll not even touch those months. So, I mean, hoping that I could make it to the top five to the very least because the unpredictable nature. But yeah, the two seconds, triple two rank and NUJS, I mean, one of the top three colleges in the country for law, so very very happy, and yeah, it was a great thing.
So Priyansh, tell me something about your school life as well, because you're from DPS Varanasi. Did it helped in you in one way or the other, as far as your preparation is concerned?
Maybe I think a bit because being in DPS, I think there is a lot of things that they work on. The English part, definitely. I think a lot of I being from a maths background, I guess it helped me to have that logical reasoning mindset, and also I think maths is a section which everyone fears, but for me, I guess it was the easier part because I was already I guess I had struggled with trigonometry, differentiation, so I guess the DI part was a bit easy, so I guess it helped.
Yeah. You're from commerce background. I guess for the parents and for the students as well, the obvious choice for selecting is like going for a BCom course or a BBA course. But you chose to do law. So it is a very obvious question from my side. What made you took this decision? This is a very bold decision to get into law. And who motivated you?
So it is quite interesting that I took commerce in 11th to pursue law, but things happened, and there are prejudices and stereotypes around law as a career. So I dropped it in 11th. So I developed an interest into accountancy, but and started focusing on my board. But the boards didn't go well for me. And then it was one of my relatives my bua, that basically reminded me that I wanted to do law, and then I thought for a few days, and I decided to drop this year. And finally, it was worth it. A big thanks to my parents. I mean, for being so supportive, despite not doing so well in my 12, they allowed me to take a drop, being associated one of the best coachings in Varanasi and across the country. So a big thanks to them. Also, I mean, for preparation wise, the motivation always comes from my elder brother. He recently secured an all India 34 rank in gate. So
Oh, wonderful.
I have seen him prepare. I've seen him working very hard, and I derive my motivation from him. From the law field, I would say that few things that I like about law. First of all, the dynamic nature, the constant changes, the amendments that happen, that like I like. And also law as a career is basically about being aware about things, and I personally like being aware, knowing what's going around the world. So I think this is all I would like to say to this.
Oh, well said, well said. Uh, Take us through your preparation with CLLST, because there are a lot of students who will be listening to this interview. They'll be interested in knowing about your preparation strategy, and also if you can just break it up into the section wise English, maths, reasoning, legal, and all the subjects put together. Just break it and talk about and take us through the preparation strategy, Priyansh.
When I started my preparation, I had almost 6 months because the exam was supposed to be held in May. So initially, I for the first 2 months, maybe from November to January end or maybe January mid, I was basically going through the concepts. I was attending. I was lucky enough to get the offline classes because the second wave was about to hit. So all the fundamental classes that I did with all the mentors at CL, first 2 months were basically about building the base. Then I guess the next 2 months were basically the practice part, because that is again, CLAT is all about practice, as I would say. I mean, the aspiration account, we have like numerous tests, text topic tests, and you would motivate us every now and then that you are not doing enough. And then, so yeah, the next 2 months were basically about giving tests, solving all the materials that we had, the new pattern practice booklets that were provided by CL. They were very, very good quality. Uh, the final months, I would say, was basically mocks and revision at all, because giving mocks is one of the very important aspects of CLAT. When I say mocks, I mean the mocks plus the analysis as well. Uh, Also, revision is also very important for basically for current affairs, but also for other subjects as well, like the legal theory and other parts. Breaking it in the section wise, I would say for English, I think the student should first get to know the basic concepts of how to handle RC. People would say that it is all about practice, but I would disagree. There's a lot of theory to know. Basically, like for the what kind of questions, main idea, fact based, and how to handle different kinds of RC, how to improve your reading speed. These things a student should focus on. Then maybe practicing the material that CL provides us, giving a lot of time-based tests. That is also very important. Having a timer, because at the end of the day, you have to give it in 2 hours. And believe me, at the final day, you will feel a shortage of time because there is so much pressure. Yeah, I think for English, you should just go to it, work on vocabulary. That is very important part. I did not work, so I guess I could have scored 2 more marks, but now I think in retrospect, everything looks perfect. So yeah, vocabulary is one thing I would like to emphasize on. Apart from that, reading speed for English is very important, and not for English. I mean, the whole paper is basically reading. So yeah, for that, next logical reasoning, again, there are basic concepts like assumption, inference, strengthening, weakening. You need to know the theory, how to handle these types of questions, and then basically practice is all that is required. Handling various type of passage or various topics is also very important. Uh, uh, Analytical part also, same thing. Know the concept basics, calendars, blocks, and various things. Next, coming to legal, I guess one of the very important part of legal is to know the theory, because a lot of students did ignore the theory because they were think that there will be passage to read from. But this year's paper actually did show that the importance of theory, because everything was from the theory. There was no current legal. Theory is really important to make the notes in classes, to revise them. Siddharth sir has taught us really well, discussed everything in detail. So and then I think practicing is again the basic thing that CLAT requires. Practicing more and more mocks, more sectional tests. Uh, Another thing for about legal is to being aware. Again, newspapers comes into picture when I talk of being aware. The recent judgments, the burning topics that are happening, like for example, this year it was sedition and various like hate speech, topics like this. Again, for maths, I would recommend again, there are 10, 12 basic topics like ratio, proportion, percentage, that are, I think, a must for all aspirants. And then there are difficult topics like maybe probability, that have a less chance to come in the exam. But if they do, I think you should, because maths, I think a lot of students fear maths, but it is one of the sections that improves the ranks drastically. Because this year as well, I mean, the competition was so stiff. On 0.25, there were like 50 ranks. So maths is a very, very big savior. Then GK. Okay, GK is a very, very difficult topic. Even I was very unsure about GK. But I think for GK, you need to follow a particular strategy. You need to believe that you cannot do everything, but you need to do enough that you beat other students, basically. So I think Manthan 2.0, the CL GK compendium, mock GK is one of the very, very important source, because this year, I mean, nothing came from the all the topic lists and that everyone was providing. But uh, still, there were 15 to 20 direct questions from CL mock, and I was very glad that I did revise them before the exam, all the mock GK, because CL did provide us with a GK mock compilation, 1,000 questions of all the mocks. So it was very helpful. I think that is it, the subject wise preparation that I would like to talk.
Thank you so much. Wonderfully. I just want to sum it up by like two, three quick points that you made with respect to practice is very important. Revision is very important. Analysis of the mock is also very important. These are the three important things that you brought in this discussion. That again pushed me to ask you another question. Uh, how did you manage to keep yourself motivated, and what is the role of the mentors that help you? Because yes, you said it right that you got that edge or an advantage that 2.5 months you could do that offline classes. But majorly, if you look at it from January, Feb onwards, it was majorly it was like in online classes. So there are two questions. How did you manage to do your preparation in an online mode, and how did mentors help you in your preparation?
Okay, so I mean, the COVID from the last 2 years, everything has gotten online. There was this window of 2 months that we got, which I think the mentors, I mean, had the very major role to play. I think one of the important part that I like about CL was the approachability that you can have with the mentors. I mean, they were just one message or one call away, and being motivated. I would say, I think accountability keeps you motivated, and that was established by the fact that you or Siddharth sir would constantly keep a check on our mock scores, would demand the score sheets, and I would spend. And any day, if the scores are less, you would feel that okay, I need to work more. So that is a fact. Also, I mean, all the teachers. I mean, I had one-to-one doubt sessions with Deepika ma'am for my CR mock doubts. That was very, and Siddharth sir was kind enough to allow me for weekly calls for my legal mock doubts, because when you practice so many questions, it is bound to happen that you'll have a lot of doubts. So clearing all those doubts, I mean, CL mentors really did help me. And again, the concepts, I mean, it is all that I have learned from CL. The concepts, the base that everything is rests upon is the concepts. So I think that is really well. And also, being in online mode, it was never like I was alone, or maybe I didn't had a plan to follow, because every time there were weekly classes, so you would come on Sundays with your GK session and motivate us. So yeah, the mentors played a very big role, and I would like to take this platform to thank all of them for their efforts. Yeah.
Uh, well said, Priyansh. What are the three things that you'll be suggesting to your juniors or the budding aspirants who will be giving the law exam next year? Because that is the biggest question for all the aspirants. Like, what are the three major things that you'll be suggesting to your juniors?
Okay, if you talk about preparation, I've spoken enough on that. I would like to emphasize on the strategy part. I think first of all, being consistent is very important. I mean, that is something that I again owe it to my brother, because he was very consistent and he told me to be consistent. I mean, he told us that there is no need to study for 10, 12 hours, or maybe, because if you have 1 year, 6 months, it is enough that you study 6 hours, but you give that 6 hour each day. There shouldn't be any zero day in your preparation. And by zero day, I mean that a day which you do nothing. So I think that is very important, being consistent in your prep. Second thing I would like to give would be revision and the planning part. I mean, the scheduling. So you took our 2 hour sessions basically on scheduling. So back in November. So I think that was very important. Being planning what you want to do, basically the next month, the next week, and how are you going to break that into your daily targets. So having a schedule is very important, because I guess a lot of time goes into deciding what you have to do every morning. So schedule really helps. And revision, I think I cannot emphasize enough. I mean, GK is nothing without revision, and not just GK. I mean, every single section, the legal theory, being very good with numbers, being in practice, that rustiness, to remove that rustiness of maths is very important. So a lot of students do this, that they ignore maths for 2 3 months straight and they'll come to it on the last month. So obviously you're bound to face problems because you don't have that sharpness in you. So I think, and the third point I would like to say is basically giving a lot and lot of mocks. That is very very important. I mean, if you ask, sir, I give around 65 to 70 mocks, and I analyze it thoroughly for, I guess, at least 2 hours. Making the charts, analyzing accuracy, removing negatives, all of that is very important. Mocks is a very very, not only for GK. I mean, mock GK I used to note down every day, and I also had a mock analysis copy that would help me note down every single takeaway that I could take from a mock. So yeah, that is the three advice I would like to give.
Very well said, Priyansh. Again, there is a question you mentioned in most of your answers about the analysis, right? So that is very, very interesting thing is how to do the analysis, because a lot of questions comes from the fact that, sir, I have scored so low marks when we start our journey with the mocks, and I'm pretty sure that this is same applicable for majority of the students around. When they start writing the mocks, the demotivation starts happening up with the marks that they'll be getting from 50s to 60s, and there is a constant improvement that you have also done and you have made as far as the mock session is concerned. So take us through, how did you analyze? You mentioned about creating a copy, but more so that you used to spend a lot of time, I know it personally that you used to spend a lot of time in analysis. So can you take us through your strategy mantras, right? How did you do the analysis for the section wise for all the 5 sections?
Yes. So about the scores, I also started with something. I remember my first mock score was in 50s, I guess. But
Right.
later on, yeah. For mock analysis, I think there are different layers to mock analysis. First of all, if after giving the mocks, you need to sit down, take the mock, and see that, look for that strategic mistake that you did. What I mean by strategic mistake is, let's say there was the RC section was very tough, and you gave 5 minutes extra to it, and because of that, you could not attempt the 10 easy questions of the logical reasoning session. So that is a very very common strategic mistake that one does. So identifying is, and being aware, noting it down so that you don't repeat this. That is very important. The next layer is definitely looking at the incorrect and unanswered questions, whether they should be correct, or, and then like the reasoning behind that the mock gives, and also identifying that why did that wrong. Was it the time situation? Was it a silly mistake that you did? Was it the rush in which you attempted the question and you could not get it right, or is it some new concept that you didn't know of? So if it's a new concept, you definitely have to note it down. You have to note down the mock number and the section so that you can go back to it. Then the third layer is that something that Deepika ma'am told us about, that seeing whether the questions that you did right, the reasoning also matches to the paper setter, because that is very very important. CLAT being a like a subjective exam, because you have to match the reasoning with the paper setter. So you have to get that mindset of so maybe you would score good, but again you need to see that whether the questions that you get right are the with the correct reasoning. Next step I would say would be to specifically for just GK section would be to note the mock GK. I've said enough on mock GK because that is very very, it was a savior for me this year, because I owe 10 to 15 marks to the mock GK. So yeah, that is very important. Revising it again towards the end, very important. Then I would say to identify whether why the problem is arising. Let's say you are doing more than 2 wrong in a specific RC, so you need to see that what kind of RC it is. There are various topics, yeah. So the accuracy depends upon the familiarity with the topic. So let's say I would face difficulty when I would attempt something like a passage on psychology or maybe aesthetics. Then you need to work on that, because about history, you need to get the basic terminologies of history, basic terminology of psychology in. That is one thing. Same goes for legal. There are concept-based passages and there are current affairs-based passages. You need to be well versed with the concepts for the legal as well. And I think this is what you need to do for at least 2 hours if you want to analyze a mock thoroughly. Because People would generally just go and see the wrong answers and okay, I'm happy I did it. But you need to go into the depth of, because that will save you in the final. Yeah.
Very well said, Priyansh. That brings me to the last question because you have covered everything. That brings me to the last question of the day. With respect to uh, CLAT now, it's more like a time bound game, right, for everyone, right? It's more about you're racing against the time because there are 150 questions, 120 minutes. So, what was your strategy for improving the speed? Because the speed, the moment the speed is getting increased, the accuracy gets decreased. So it's like the indirectly relationship that it happens. So what is your mantra as far as the speed is concerned?
Yes, sir. This was also the problem that I was facing. I'm not a kind of guy that reads a lot, that used to read a lot of books. But again, if you want to do CLAT, you have to do it. For this, I guess newspapers comes into picture. I can confidently say that from the first day of my prep till the very last day, on even on 23rd July, I read around 2 to 3 editorials. And since the first day, I would read newspaper. Earlier, it used to take me close to 2 hours, but again, when you do it constantly, the time would reduce. And people always say that is newspaper worth it? It takes 2 hours. But again, I mean, when the paper is going to come from that same piece of paper, how can it not be worth it?
Absolutely.
So yeah, newspapers come. Also, there are a lot of speed reading techniques that Deepika ma'am also told us about. I would like to mention few of them. First of all, is reading in phrases, not reading basically one word at a time, but 2 to 3 words. Other things would be reading speed basically depends on 2 to 3 things. First of all, your vocabulary, because again, if you know the hard words, if you know their meaning, it is obviously easy to comprehend. Second is the familiarity with topics. Again, you have to read a lot. I mean, on various topics, and that is something that CL material has in abundance, because there are RCs on almost every topic, every single topic. There are a lot of RCs to practice. And then again, speeds comes with practice, I would say. That you have to read a lot. Apart from that, maybe reading novels could help. Reading novels, but again, if you have time, because if you have only 2 to 3 months, you cannot do that. But again, if the students have 1 year or 6 months, then they can definitely go for reading novels. And something, sir, you told us that have 6 to 7 novels with you, and
Right.
constantly for 10 pages you read from one and then again, because that is something similar that you have to do in the paper as well. And again, yeah, I used to note these all strategies. I think one of the very important things I forgot to talk about, that whenever you see something like some topper interview or strategy session, always have a pen, paper, and copy with you, because after 2 hours you won't remember anything. So I think
True.
there should be some takeaways, and I would like to students listening to this to at least write something and maybe take away something from this session if they are investing around I mean 10-15 minutes into this session. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Priyansh, for answering almost all the questions in such a nice manner and in a comprehensive manner as well. I'm pretty sure that the students will be going through this interview. Will definitely, there is a lot of take back for them as well. And all the very best from the entire team of Career Launcher Varanasi. Will definitely have the party very soon. Yes, because of this COVID, we'll not be having that party which we used to have every single year, Career Launcher annual party. But definitely looking forward for you in the Career Launcher annual party very soon. And thank you so much for everything and all the very best. All the very best.
Thank you so much, sir. A big thanks to you. I mean, I owe it a lot to you, sir, and all
Thank
the
you.
mentors. I mean, thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.